Then SRS, you know, it's a journal document which contains software specification, right? It's a big lengthy document. I have shown you multiple times. It's a big lengthy document which contains all the important documents about, and it's also basically made for the development team also, where they have written all the functional as well as non-functional requirements. See, all the functional and non-functional requirement along with the use cases. Now you will ask me, Pramod, what is the use case? What is exactly the use case? See, use case is basically, if you read about it, right, it's a very big term. And in IBM, right, IBM was the first one who introduced use cases, UMLs into the system, right? Where what will happen is, for example, suppose I have a application that I want to create, for example, a e-commerce website, right? So they generally, what they have done is they divided their all the flows that we will have, right, into between the actors and what kind of actions they can take. So actor can be, for example, in the e-commerce website, for example, Amazon.com, actor can be you, right? You are a actor. What you can do? You can do a registration. You can do basically login, right? You can basically do add to cart and you can order, right? So these are the action. Actors can do some actions in this case, right? That's what exactly is a use case mostly, right? And they basically created a something called as UML. I will try to give you the examples also in the UML for e-commerce website, right? So those things they created, but generally those are done mostly by the business analyst, right, and the other people, right? As a software tester, you should know, okay, these are the documents that I need to use, but your sole purpose is basically read this document and create your own set of requirements, right? Scenarios is different. Okay, so what they do is basically in SRS, sometimes you will see these kind of these kind of diagrams, right? Which are nothing but the normal flows, guys. These are nothing but the normal flows. For example, if you see here, right, here, you will see these are, whenever you see this diagram, right, this stick person, which is this one, right? Whenever you see these person, right, these are nothing but they are actors. Actors basically, in movies, you will have actors. Yes or no? How many of you have seen movies? In movies, you have actors. Yes or no? They have something to do, right? For example, there is a villain, there is a hero, and there is a girlfriend of hero. Yes or no? They are all actors, right? Similarly, in the use cases, right, you are also an actor. For example, you are a customer. You can be a new customer. For example, you can be a new customer or you can be a registered customer, right? What you can do? You can basically, if suppose on Amazon.com, what you can do, you can basically view items. So this is one of the use case that they are with. You can view items, you can make a purchase, right? You can do a checkout, you can do a client registration, right? Other things also. For example, if you're a new one, then you will register yourself, right? Then authentication will happen, right? This is your actor, right? Identity providers, payment will be done, right? And PayPal. So basically, these are another actors who will verify your orders. Here on the backend side, you will have authentication. Someone will authenticate you, right? Someone will basically check your entities. Someone will basically check your card payments and other thing, right? And the PayPal is nothing but your payment processing. So it can be automated or it can be a service provider or is some person who is just processing your orders in this case, right? So this is called as a use case diagrams, which are also added into your SRS documents, right? This will just help you to understand how this application will work. Make sense? Are we clear? Simple. Remember two important points: actors and actions. Actors and actions. What they can do? What is the actor? Who is the actor in this case? So see, this thing you can implement in any of your project. For example, suppose you have joined a banking domain, right? Tell me how or what is the actor here? For example, who is the actor when we talk about a banking application? For example, suppose I have this application which is ICICI Bank. I have a simple bank. I have a simple bank which is personal banking I'm using, right? ICICI Bank. Who is the actor here in this case, right? You can see a login page right here. Account holder, bank customer, right? Bank customer will be an actor. What is the action it can take? What are the different actions you can take in your banking website? Anyone? You can create an account, right? You can do transition, right? You can basically transfer the money, right? You can onboard, transfer the money, get the money, right? These are the things which are actions in this case, right? Actors and actions. So you can now draw your diagram or use case also, right? So this is my actor. For example, this is a new customer. Suppose this is another customer, right? I can draw what they can do. They can basically log in, right? Let me make it black. They can, for example, let me make it yellow in this case. Yellow will be visible, right? They can do create account, right? They can do transitions, right? And many, many more things, right? Yes, transaction, credit card, bills, and other things, all these are actions in this case. So these things you will see in your diagrams, right? So what is the purpose for this, Pramod? What is the purpose for this? I mean, why they are creating this diagram? What is the purpose of this, Pramod? Why? Anyone want to know why they are creating these kind of diagrams? So that you, so that design team, development team, and a tester team can understand it better. Now it's clear. Understand the flow, right? So that you can understand the flow. This is for you. This is for your design team. This is for your development team. This is for your testing team. So this is for your UAT team so that they can understand overflow what's going on and they don't miss any requirement. Make sense? So that they don't miss any requirement in this case. So they don't miss, for example, suppose in this diagram, they don't miss how a order is done, right? So all the things are already present here, right? That's why. So if you want to read about the difference between the BRD, SRS, and FRD, I would recommend you, I will upload this document, don't worry, right? In this case, just remember the keyword BRD is always why, because stakeholders want to know why you are doing this, right? And SRS is basically what you are doing. Make sense? And FRD is basically how, because developer want to know how, they don't want to know what, right? They want to know how I have to develop this application, right? So just remember why, what, and how. Make sense? Are we clear? Super simple. I have made it for you. BRD, SRS, FRD. Somebody asks you this question. You can give an interview. Yes or no? Give me yes in the comment if it is clear. Super simple. I have made for you. Why, what, and how. Remember this thing. Super simple. Now, UML basically contains the different diagrams and the use case is one of it, right? For example, UML generally contain the structure diagram that I have shown you. We have actors and the actions in this case. For example, if you see, this is one of the diagram of bigger one, which is an e-commerce website, big or e-commerce website. I've shown you smaller one, right? Where this is the bigger one, where we have customer verification, shipping, login, user update, right? It contains a big application, right? For example, this is a real PHP website where all the use cases are there. Okay, this is where the use cases diagram created for a real website. This is a running website, guys. This is a running website which contains. See, it's a little complex. Yes or no? How many of you agree that is little complex? No, it is to understand. But this one was very simple, right? See, this one was simple to understand, but see, real world, I told you, right? Real one will be have little complex because they have a very big things to do. See, because the reason here is, guys, we have login page, we have update page, we have registration, show product list, show user, show comments. Comments can also be do. People can comment, register on a store update. There is a store manager. There is a customer, right? There is a company which can verify shipping. There are shipping related people also, postman, other people are there. There is an admin also. So there are multiple roles in real world. There are multiple words, there are multiple actors. That's why you will see it's a very big diagram in this case. But I would encourage, take out some time. I will upload this PPT on the courses.testingacademy.com. See like how this is done, what are the different things they are doing, right? Just have a look around this. Okay, let's move on to the different models now, right? So SDLC models. Now we are going to discuss the four important one, which are super important. These are super four important, and the most important for you is the Agile one. Trust me, nowadays every second company, almost like every second company is working on Agile. So we will understand Agile very thorough. Okay, we will basically see how practically Agile is done, right? Whereas other models, what we will see, we will basically learn about them. We will see what are the major advantages and the disadvantages on this. The first one is super simple. which is like a core backbone. This model that you see, right, by Waterfall, it is still used in many of the service-based companies. It is still used. The reason, I'll tell you why. When we see the pros and cons, right, you will see why the waterfall model is still used, right? Still, it is super bad model. It's a super bad model, but still people use it because it is very much applicable in a service-based company. I remember, let me tell you, right? When I started, right, I was into the Accenture. I was in Accenture, right? So they have a very big project that they wanted to create. For example, the project was a disaster management system. Where we have employees, they can basically add some money. If there is some disaster, they will get the money back. Something like this. Very simple example, right? So they used this model, which is a waterfall model. The reason was because there is a client and there is a Accenture who's creating the model for them, right? So I'll tell you like why this was introduced. And in this waterfall model, right, it can handle very, very complex, very, very big, very, very big projects. If we have a very enough time, very big projects to create, right, then waterfall model is a go-to for you, right? And there are 5 important steps, or you can say stages in the waterfall, right? I think we have already seen because in SDLC, we know, right? First of all, we have requirement, then we have design, then we have implementation, then we have verification, and then we have a maintenance. See, only the name they have changed. That's it. Rest of them are almost similar in the SDLC, right? Requirement is requirement analysis, right? Designing is design, implementation is building, verification is testing, maintenance is basically deployment, right? How many of you are able to relate? Only the name they have changed. That's it in this case. Relate? Able to relate? Our system here is consider like this. For example, consider I'm putting some water here. What will happen? If I'm putting this water, it will go down. Yes or no? No, right? So if this water basically has funneled from this step to this step to this step, right? Still here, and this is here, the water is here, right? For example, I'm putting a 1 glass of water here, right? Then you will see some of the water basically spilled here in the end, right? It will go down, 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 which means you cannot roll back. You cannot roll back, right? So in waterfall model, there is no rollback. Once the requirements are created, they are finalized. Nobody will change them. Okay. Because if you change them, then your design team will basically start crying, or they will say, why you are basically changing the requirement. It will impact the timelines. See, why the reason I'm telling you is this is simple. For example, when I was in Accenture, right, they have given you a 6 month time. In 1.5 month, you have to give them a requirement. So suppose 1.5 month is done. After that, design team will start working. Now, if you want to change something, there is no, big no in this case. Big no basically means no, you cannot do that because 1.5 month, you had a time in 1.5 months. It is finished now because if you now change the requirement, your timeline will change. Yes or no? Because you have finalized the requirement. So client has finalized the requirement here, right? For example, client has already finalized this. Now there is no rollback. So rollback is not allowed in this case. No, no, clear no in this case, right? So this is called as waterfall model. So like water is falling, right? It cannot go back against the gravity, right? What are the advantages and disadvantage? Simple. It is so advantages are very simple, right? Simple to use, normal SDLC. Phases are very clear what we have to do. In the requirement phase, we have to create the requirement. In the implementation phase, we have to build the project. In the verification phase, we have to test the build. That's it. Suitable for smaller projects, easy to manage. It was very simple in this case, right? It will not allow revision. No revision in this case. Not suitable for very complex projects. I'm talking about very complex projects, not very big projects in this case. Risk and uncertainty is high. So what happens? For example, in this case, here, suppose we have a 6 month timeline, but during the implementation, we figure it out, oh, we cannot create add to cart button because it will have some issues. So no, not allowed. Now it's not allowed. Yes or no? In waterfall, not allowed now. right? So if you have figured it out, so risk is higher in this case. Super risky project does not have any feedback mechanism. So there is no feedback, no. For example, requirement is created and design is created, test is created. But for example, until this project is ready, there is no feedback. So there's no feedback from customer, right? That's why. So advantage is the product will be high quality, that we know, right? Less possibility of detecting problems because requirements are modification are probated, right? Tester are employed later, so initial cost is lower. Testers are basically added in the end. That's why the cost will be little low in this case, right? Whereas in the other model, you will see testers are actually added in the initial basis, right? So preferred for the little projects with the frozen criteria. Always remember the frozen criteria in this case. A big project, basically, I mean to say, Vijay, big project means where they have a huge timeline, big timeline. I mean to say, sorry, not for the big projects, for the big timelines. Okay, I apologize for this. That was for big timelines. For example, clients have a 6 month time duration, right? That's why in this case. Okay. Disadvantage will be changes are not allowed. Of course, in waterfall model, you cannot roll back, right? So nothing in this case. If there is a defect in the requirement, that will be continued in the later phase, which means, for example, if you have found some requirement in the, there is a bug in this case, right? So live with it. That's what you have to do. You have to live with it. That's it in this case, right? Testing will always start whenever after the coding. This is what they have to do in this case, right?